The two friends emerged from the inner quarters. From within, a female voice called out, "Kandamaran! Kandamaran!" "Mother is calling me. Wait right here for a moment. I'll be back in a flash," said Kandamaran, and he went inside. Vandiyathevan heard the sound of several female voices asking questions in rapid succession, followed by Kandamaran stumbling over his replies. Then, the sound of those women laughing uproariously drifted out from within. The thought that they might be teasing and laughing about him in such a manner stirred feelings of both embarrassment and anger within Vandiyathevan. When Kandamaran finally came out, he took Vandiyathevan by the hand. "Come, let's go take a tour of our palace," he said, pulling him along. Kandamaran led Vandiyathevan on a tour, showing him the Kadambur Palace's moonlit courtyards, halls for dance and music, storehouses, marble pavilions, turrets and towers, finials and domes, and horse stables. Midway through the tour, Vandiyathevan asked, "Kandamaran, when you left me waiting at the entrance to the inner quarters and went back inside, there was such laughter and merriment coming from within. What was the occasion? Were they really that delighted to see your friend?" "They certainly were happy to see you. It seems Mother and the others have taken a liking to you. However, they weren't laughing about you." "Then what were they laughing about?" "You know Paluvettariar, don't you? At his advanced age, he has recently taken a young woman as his bride. He brought her here, concealed within a covered palanquin. Yet, instead of sending her to the royal harem, he has reportedly kept her locked away within his own private quarters. A handmaiden, who managed to catch a glimpse of the woman through a window, returned to describe her exquisite beauty. That is precisely what everyone is laughing about. They are currently debating whether she is a Sinhalese woman, a woman from Kalinga, or perhaps one from the Chera country. You are aware, are you not, that Paluvettariar's ancestors originally migrated to the Tamil land from the Chera country?" "I have indeed heard as much. Why, you yourself mentioned it to me on a previous occasion. But let that be, Kandamaran. How long has it been since Paluvettariar wed this mysterious beauty?" "It has been less than 2 years. Since the moment of their marriage, he reportedly refuses to leave her alone, not even for a brief moment. Wherever he travels, he takes his beloved consort along with him in her palanquin. Consequently, this matter has become the subject of some ridicule throughout the land. Vandiyathevan, when a man of advanced years succumbs to such infatuation with a woman, does it not inevitably strike everyone as somewhat undignified?" "That is not the true reason at all. Shall I tell you the actual cause, Kandamaran? Women are, by nature, somewhat prone to jealousy. Do not mistake this as a slight against the women of your own household, for such is the nature of the female world in general. The women of your family are beauties of a dusky complexion. Paluvettariar's beloved consort, however, possesses a radiant, golden complexion. Consequently, they simply do not like her. It is for this very reason that they are fabricating and spreading all manner of baseless tales about her." "Hey, what is this marvel? How do you know about the color of her complexion? Have you actually seen her? Where and how did you see her? If Paluvettariar were to find out about this, your life would no longer be your own." "Kandamaran, you know well that I am not one to be intimidated by such things. Furthermore, I have done nothing improper. When Paluvettariar's entourage passed through Viranarayanapuram, I simply stood aside along the road, blending in with the crowd, and watched. The elephants, horses, palanquins, and ceremonial honors, were those all tributes sent by you? Is that true?" "Yes, we were indeed the ones who sent them. But what of it?" "What of it? Nothing, really. I merely compared the ceremonial welcome you accorded to Paluvettariar with the welcome you gave to me. That is all." Kandamaran smiled faintly and said, "We paid him the respect due to a high-ranking official appointed by the king. To you, we accorded the welcome befitting a true warrior. Should the day come, by the grace of Lord Murugan, when you become the son-in-law of this household, we shall welcome you with all the honors and ceremonies befitting a bridegroom." Then he added, "You started to say something else, but the conversation drifted. Ah, yes. You mentioned that Palyuvetarayar's favorite consort is fair-skinned. How did you come to know that? Paruvettarayar was approaching atop the massive, dark tusker of the Kadambur Palace, much like Yama, the god of death, riding upon his buffalo. My entire attention was fixed solely upon him, just as I was lost in a daydream, fantasizing that one day I, too, would rise to such stature. A covered palanquin appeared right behind him. As I pondered who might be traveling inside that veiled palanquin, a hand from within parted the curtains slightly. Through the gap in the curtains, a face became visible. Both the hand and the face possessed a radiant, golden complexion. That was all. That is the full extent of what I saw. Based on what you have just told me, I surmise that this woman must be Pajuvettarayar's beloved consort. Vandiyathevan, you are a fortunate man. It is said that no man has ever laid eyes upon the junior queen of Pajuvur, not even a fleeting glance. Yet you managed to catch sight of her hand and face, if only for a single second. Based on what you saw, do you have any notion as to which land this beauty might hail from? Asked Kandamaran. I gave it no thought at the time. However, reflecting upon it now, it occurs to me that she might perhaps be a woman from the land of Kashmir, or perhaps a noblewoman hailing from distant lands across the seas, such as Java, Kedah, Greece, or Egypt. She might even be a woman from Arabia. I have heard that in that land, women keep their faces veiled from the moment of their birth until the very moment of their death. At that moment, the resounding beat of musical instruments began to drift in from somewhere nearby. The sounds of cymbals, drums, flutes, and hourglass drums blended together in a rhythmic crescendo. "What is this clamor?" asked Vandiyathevan. "The Kuravai dance performance is about to begin. This is the opening chant for it. Do you wish to watch the Kuravai dance? Or would you prefer to finish your meal quickly, lie down, and sleep peacefully?" At that moment, Vandiyathevan recalled Alvarkadian's mention of the Kuravai dance. "I have never seen a Kuravai dance before." "You simply must see it," he said. The friends walked a few more paces, and as they rounded a bend, the stage for the Kuravai Koothu, Kuravai dance, came into view. An audience had already begun to gather in front of the stage. Situated within an enclosure formed by the palace walls and the ramparts of the fortress, the Kuravai Koothu stage had been erected in a spacious courtyard carpeted with white sand. The stage itself was adorned with painted motifs depicting creatures such as hens, peacocks, and swans. It was further embellished with roasted golden-hued patty puffs, yellow-tinted millet grains, multicolored flowers, and kundri seeds. Tall, standing lamps, joined by flaming torches, burned brightly in an attempt to dispel the darkness. However, the smoke from the torches, mingling with the fragrant fumes of burning agile wood, spread like a thick mist, dimming the glow of the lamps. Seated both in front of and to the sides of the stage, musicians played their respective instruments with spirited intensity. The combined scents of flowers and agile wood, coupled with the resounding music, caused Vandiyathevan's head to spin. Once all the principal guests had arrived, 9 women, the dancers for the Kuravai Koothu, stepped onto the stage. Clad in garments fitted tightly to facilitate movement, adorned with close-fitting jewelry, and wearing anklets that chimed with every step, they had decked their hair with flowers sacred to Lord Murugan: Kani, Kadambam, Kanthal, Kur, Kurinji, and Sevalari. Linked to one another by a long garland woven from a medley of these very flowers, they took their positions upon the stage. Some of them gracefully held in their hands beautiful painted green parrots carved from sandalwood. Having greeted the assembly, they began to sing and dance. They sang songs extolling the glory of Lord Murugan. They sang of his heroic deeds, specifically the prowess of the Vel, spear, of victory, which annihilated hordes of demons such as Surapadman and Gajamukhan, and caused the very waters of the ocean to recede. They sang in praise of how the son of Shiva, even while many celestial maidens in the heavenly realms were performing severe penance to win his hand in marriage, descended to the mortal realm, came to the land of Tamil Nadu, and wedded the daughter of a mountain chieftain who stood guard over the millet fields in the forest. They celebrated the boundless compassion of the Lord of the Spear. This fusion of song, dance, the rhythmic beat of drums, and the melody of flutes worked together to cast a spell of ecstatic frenzy upon all who watched. Subsequently, a man and a woman, known as the Devaralan and the Devarati, respectively, stepped onto the stage to perform the Velan Aattam, the dance of the spear. They were clad in blood-red garments. They wore garlands of bright crimson oleander flowers, the color of fresh blood. Their foreheads were smeared with red vermilion paste. Their mouths, too, appeared blood-red from the chewing of betel leaves and areca nuts. Their eyes glowed red, resembling ripe scarlet kovai berries. Initially, the dance began quite placidly. They danced both individually and with their hands clasped together. As time passed, however, the dance grew increasingly frenzied. The Devarati seized the vel, spear, which had been propped against the stage wall, into her hands. The Devaralan attempted to snatch it from her grasp, but the Devarati resisted him. Finally, with a mighty leap that shook the very stage and a great bounding stride, the Devaralan wrested the spear from the Devarati's hands. Feigning an expression of fear at the sight of the spear, the Devarati then descended from the stage. Thereafter, the oracle stood alone upon the platform, holding a spear in his hand, and performed a frenzied dance. The hosts of demons, including Suran, were pulverized and fell to the ground. Suran's severed head sprouted anew, time and again. With every regrowth, the ferocity of the spear-bearer intensified. Sparks of fire flew from his eyes. Finally, Surapadma fell dead. The oracle, too, cast the spear from his hand. Now, all the other musical instruments fell silent. Only the sound of the udukai could be heard. Standing near the platform, the priest beat the udukai with frenzied intensity. Every single atom of the oracle's body quivered and shook. "The divine trance has descended," the people in the assembly whispered softly to one another. After a short while, the priest, himself seized by fervor, looked at the oracle, who was still dancing in a trance, and pleaded, "O Vela! O Muruga! Commander of the Celestials! O Kantha! Slayer of Suran! You must bestow your divine blessings and oracles upon your devotees." "Listen, man, I shall speak. Ask whatever it is you desire," the entranced oracle cried out. "Will the rains fall? Will the rivers swell? Will the land prosper? Will our cherished endeavors come to fruition?" the priest asked. "The rains shall fall, the rivers shall swell, the land shall prosper, your cherished endeavors shall come to fruition. However, you have failed to offer worship to my mother. Durga demands a sacrifice, Bhadrakali demands a sacrifice, Chandikeshwari, the slayer of Mahishasura, demands a sacrifice." The entranced oracle screamed, continuing his frenzied dance. "What manner of sacrifice do you require?" the priest asked. "If I ask for it, will you grant it?" the frenzied dancer challenged. "We shall give it. We shall certainly give it," declared the priest. "She demands the blood of kings. She demands the blood of a royal lineage that has reigned for 1,000 years," the frenzied dancer shrieked in a terrifying, guttural voice. The dignitaries seated before the dais, Pajuvettarayar, Sambhuvarayar, Majavarayar, and others, exchanged glances. Their bloodshot, frenzied eyes communicated silently through a language of signs. Sambhuvarayar looked at the priest and signaled to him with a nod of his head. The priest ceased beating his uduku drum. The Devaralan, oracle dancer, who had been performing the frenzied dance, collapsed onto the dais like a tree severed at its roots. The Devarati, priestess, rushed forward, lifted him up, and carried him away. The assembly dispersed in silence. Somewhere in the distance outside, the sound of howling jackals could be heard. Vandiyathevan, his nerves frayed by everything he had witnessed and heard over the past while, turned his gaze toward the direction from which the jackals' howling emanated. There, atop the outer wall of the palace compound, a head came into view. It was indeed Alwarkadian's head. For a fleeting moment, Vandiyathevan was seized by a terrifying sensation. He was gripped by the delusion that Alwarkadian's head had been severed and placed upon that wall. When he blinked and looked again, the head was nowhere to be seen. He felt ashamed that he had succumbed to such a baseless hallucination. Furthermore, a host of other emotions, feelings he had never experienced before, stirred and unsettled his mind.
Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of Ponniyin Selvan.